Good day, everyone. My name is Craig Ebert, President of the Climate Action Reserve. It's my pleasure today to bring you the next episode of the Climate Action Reserve's Hot Wings interview, where we make every guest uncomfortable, not because we're asking tough questions, but because they're consuming a variety of hot sauces along the way. And I will be joining them. So we'll see how this goes. It's my pleasure today to welcome Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes to the interview. Lieutenant Governor Barnes is the 45th Lieutenant Governor of Wisconsin and the first African American Lieutenant Governor of Wisconsin. Lieutenant Governor, thanks for joining us.
Well, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to getting kind of uncomfortable here.
Well, we'll start it out with hopefully a softball question. Just what prompted you to get involved in climate work and related issues?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing that got me the most formally involved was my work as an organizer with MICA, which is Milwaukee Inner City Congregations Ally for Hope. As soon as I was onboarded, the organization was a part of a coalition called the Cleaner Valley Coalition. And it was a collection of community organizations, established climate and environmental organizations as well. And they were challenging the local utility company because of their use of coal burning power plants that disproportionately impacted lower income communities of color. And it's a fight that we won, and that was prior to that, had always had some interest in environmental issues. Personally, always tried to do the right thing in terms of sustainability at a personal level, but I can't say that I was deeply ingrained in it before that point. Being involved in a chance to meet so many people who were doing amazing things, and I learned a lot. I learned what individual choices meant, but also the responsibility that nations have, and if communities come together, we can hold them accountable and win.
Fabulous. Why don't we get into the first wing? And I wanted to kind of provide a little backdrop for our audience here. For those of you who may not know, all sauces are rated what's called a Scoville rating, depending on how hot they are. Jalapenos roughly have 2,500 to 8,000 units on the Scoville rating. Habaneros are anywhere from 100,000 to 350,000. Today, the Lieutenant Governor and I will be tasting sauces that start out relatively mild at 1,800 and end up at over 2 million. So,
bye-bye to the rest of my day.
The first one is going to be called the Classic Hot Sauce. This one is 1,800 Scoville units, and the active chili is the chili de arbol. So the best thing to do is mix these things up. I'm going to put it in a little bowl so I can dip my wings in it.
I'm going to pour mine directly on the wing.
You may do that.
All right.
Cheers. That one's pretty easy.
That one was doable. Yeah, I'm gonna be really done by the end of this thing. 10 wings and hot and tired.
Yeah, both of us, by the way, have a variety of materials to help us get through this. Milk, sweets, you name it. We'll see what happens.
You're drinking milk already?
Why wait for the panic?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about where you grew up and kind of what your childhood was like growing up? What did you do for fun?
Absolutely. I was born and raised in the city of Milwaukee, and as a child, I was very active in sports. My dad made sure I participated in as many extracurricular activities as possible. They were very strict on the academic part. My mother was a public school teacher. My father, his degree was in elementary education, but he went to the factory instead of spending time instead of working in the classroom. He didn't want to take his work home with him, he said. but growing up, it was very interesting. Like I was born right in the heart of the city of Milwaukee. By elementary, middle school, we moved a little bit further out, still in the city, just not as centrally located. And it was odd in many ways growing up because where I was born it was very challenged community. One of the most impoverished zip codes in this state, one of the most incarcerated zip codes in this country. When we moved a little further out, things were drastically different. But I still went to the same schools. And when we moved, the neighborhood was predominantly white, and I was always in a predominantly black school. And so the experience from home life compared to school life was a little bit different, and I think it was ultimately helpful because I was able to navigate so many different personalities, so many different experiences, and I think given the work that I'm doing now as lieutenant governor, it was probably a lesson that I never knew I needed, especially at that moment.
That makes sense. The value of travel and moving and just experiencing different people, different ways of living, I think helps all of us both be more understanding and more tolerant of what each other is all about.
Yeah, exactly. I firmly believe that, and it's those experiences that were just so different. I was talking to a teacher yesterday because I did a back to school event, welcoming students back to the building. A lot of fanfare, had a bunch of music playing, and there was just a high energy thing because children leaving the summer is tough for them, right? But we want to make this a fun experience. And someone asked me, one of the teachers asked what high school I attended, and I told her, and she said, "Oh, she's like, did you like it?" She's like, "It was a good experience." I said, it was the experience that I needed because it was a school that faced a lot of challenges, and it's easy for people to make decisions about a school like that based on things they've read or based on test scores or what is perceived to be achievement. And those people make decisions about schools just like that one without ever having spent a minute in that building or without ever having talked to a student or talked to a teacher about what's actually happening. And in government, too many decisions are made that way without actually taking a moment to experience what's really going on. You can't make every decision some sort of report based on the scholarly article, based on the news. You need to dig a little bit deeper. We as policymakers, as leaders, we should challenge ourselves to want to know more before we make a decision.
That sounds good. Why don't we go on to our second wing with Jalapapa? Jalapapa is 4,000 on the Scoville unit, and not surprisingly by the title, jalapeno is the main pepper in it.
I'm looking forward to it so much. All right.
It looks good, nice creamy look to it.
It does look really good. Don't let the look fool you. Also manageable.
That's very manageable. A little bit of heat on the backside.
Mm-hmm.
A little more heat on the backside. It is building on us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sort of yeah. Slow roll that thing.
Yeah, that one definitely has some residual heat.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it. I could order those.
Yeah, absolutely. Both these first two are very consumable.
Yeah, very much consumable.
I got another question for you. There was an op-ed in the Progressive magazine where you wrote, to match the gravity of our problems, we need bold, comprehensive solutions rooted in racial equity that will pave the way for a better, more just, and more inclusive future. What are some bold, comprehensive solutions rooted in racial equity that would help address environmental injustice in Wisconsin and beyond?
So honestly, I would say one solution isn't necessarily policy. It's the way that we operate. It's more of the fact that communities that traditionally or typically have stood to bear the brunt of the impacts of climate change, higher temperatures, especially in urban centers, is the research and the data shows that redline communities experience urban heat islands quite often of heat stroke, or whether it's flooding in lower income and communities of color. The fact is, one thing we can stand to do is bring more people into the conversation. I used to, why aren't there, more Black people? Why aren't there more people of color? Why aren't, involved in these conversations? Like, well, these communities have historically been left out, and have you taken a moment to try to engage them? And quite often the answer is no. Like, there's an expectation that, people should automatically just know, regardless of the fact that they've been subject to so many issues. Like, we can go back to the first thing with the Cleaner Valley Coalition and the issue of coal burning power plants. And so in order for us to achieve equity, that can't be done if the conversations are exclusionary or exclusive. We have to do a better job at making sure that we aren't just prescribing solutions for people. We have to make sure that frontline communities see the benefits as well of our plan to address climate change. It's hard for you to tell somebody who's struggling to put food on the table that they should adopt a more sustainable lifestyle, or they should do X, Y, Z, especially when there are benefits to addressing the issue, whether it's job creation, whether it's improved health, improved quality of life. We gotta do a much better job at having those conversations at large.
Yeah, the climate crisis is obviously very severe, as we just heard from the IPCC, that frankly humanity is out of time, and we're behind the curve on addressing it. But it's also, I've always felt, it's an unparalleled opportunity to address these questions of injustice. We're fundamentally remaking provision of energy services globally, and this is an opportunity for us to do a much better job. We need to do it, and it's a right way to do it. So you're spot on making sure that that's going to be the focus of a lot of the discussions.
Yeah.
Well, tell you what, before we let that heat start to linger and build up too much, let's try number 3. This one is Cantina Royale Tomasa Spicy Habanero and Manzano Chili Hot Sauce. It has a rating of 18,000 on the Scoville scale, and it simply says all that's in it is chili peppers.
Well, that's weird, because this is the only one that has calories in it.
I hadn't even noticed that.
I noticed. I noticed. I picked up on that one. One of them has 5 calories, but whatever. We're not here to count calories. We're here to count heat. I may have poured too much on here, so we're going to find out.
It's got an interesting smoky flavor to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's got a little bit of heat. Very doable, but again, it's building on the back end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you definitely feel that one on the back end. I thought I was out of the woods, but I was not.
So would you consume that one on a regular basis?
It depends on the day. I am holding out on going for this milk. I'm holding out.
All right, I'll try to do likewise. I'm not sure why we're holding out, but I'll do likewise.
I don't want to. I want to lower my resistance.
Maybe that's part of the contest. Which one of us screams mercy first?
Yeah.
Probably.
I'm just these first 3. We got 7 to go, so we're in for a ride.
We are. Maybe before we go on to the next one, kind of another question. Obviously, with the change in the White House, an administration that has indicated that climate change is front and center for a lot of the policies they want to focus on. How are you viewing that from your perspective as Lieutenant Governor of Wisconsin?
Yeah, I'm viewing that as an opportunity for us to get to our goals much quicker. When I first took office as Lieutenant Governor, we were basically out of a sense of responsibility, given the fact that the former president had one of his first steps was to take us out of the Paris Agreement. There was no prioritization of clean energy or addressing climate change. Now that we have a partner in this work, I do feel more comfortable. Obviously, not taking anything for granted, and we still are going to have to push for a lot. But some of the goals that were set by the White House exceeded even our own. And we're running up against the legislature here in Wisconsin. So as much help as we can get from the federal government to enact a lot of the recommendations that were in our climate change task force report. I am very hopeful, optimistic. I had a chance to meet the EPA secretary long before his appointment, and I'm very happy to have worked with Gina McCarthy as well. Not her personally, but the Natural Resources Defense Council, and so I'm optimistic about the people who are there doing the work, because I knew that they were doing it before they were in the White House, and they recognize the challenges that states continue to face, especially in the face of a lot of obstruction. But with the federal government, I felt like that was sort of the last link for us, because before we took office here in Wisconsin, local government was work to address climate change, and they didn't have a partner. They were also doing it under the threat of preemption. Without that threat, local government is able to be more expressive, able to be more innovative. And now that we have the federal government who is already showing a willingness to be a partner, I'm excited about it.
You mentioned some of the political challenges, particularly with some political views that frankly don't recognize the severity of the climate crisis. What steps are you trying to take to get people to recognize that this is not a political issue? It's a survival issue for the planet. And, at the end of the day, the planet doesn't care what anybody's political persuasion is.
Unfortunately, we're getting to a point where I don't even have to make it. I don't have to make that point. We had 23 tornadoes in a 10-day span. Our annual average is 24. The IPCC report that shows a code red for humanity. Like, people always talk about, the country is more divided than ever. It's going to take an alien invasion. Well, the alien invasion is here. It's climate change. It is literally spelled out how disastrous, how cataclysmic it will be for us. So it's less of me at this point. And this is like the game of I told you so that I do not want to have to play, right? I don't want to have to sit here and I told you so this thing 20 years down the line to people who were so resistant but had all the power to change things.
Yeah. Looking back, retrospectively, it's not going to help anyone. We've all got to be looking forward to figure out what's going to work, and if it doesn't work as well as we thought, we retool, we move on.
Yep.
Speaking of moving on, let's try number 4, which is Los Calientes Barbacoa. This one is 33,000 on the Scoville scale. Again, jalapenos top out at 8,000. So we're getting up there.
We're getting up there.
This one even looks hot.
It looks so hot. It looks so hot. Oh, I got a little bit in my nose. I breathe a little bit. My sinuses are gonna be clear for a month.
Don't get it up your nose. We'll have to call it.
It was the scent. So it was hot, but it tastes really good.
This has actually got a nice flavor to it.
I really enjoy the flavor.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, like I've often said, it's not spicy enough unless you're sweating, and I'm already at that point. So.
Oh, wow. Maybe I should drench mine a little more. I'm drenching the next one.
I like the theme that you've been bringing up about, racial injustice, environmental justice, climate justice, a variety of other issues. You actually raised this at our conference this year, the North American Carbon World Conference, where you spoke, is one of our keynotes. And you chaired the governor's task force on climate change. You're still chairing it. And you said that you started your first meeting with a training on environmental justice. Could you share with our audience new knowledge you gained from the various voices that were brought to the table during that discussion?
Well, absolutely. And I've been through not necessarily similar trainings, but discussions before. But what a lot of people hadn't always considered is the impact of environmental racism that has been ingrained into so many of our systems, like the things we just look out the door and see, and it's like, all right, well, we just come to expect it. A lot of this stuff is by design. Like I mentioned, red line communities and how they experience higher temperatures in many areas. There are also highway systems that were intentionally built to disrupt thriving communities. There's also, like I mentioned before, like the coal burning power plants. Who has access to what resources? Where are the majority of lead laterals? Where are lines being dug? Right? Where pipelines being proposed? Or when there's a big rupture, what communities does it impact? And traditionally, it's been our tribal communities. We see a total disruption of way of life for so many people. That's why folks are standing up to protest different pipeline operations or new pipelines. And I think that there has just been this lack of consideration that, some task force members, it was new to them. There was a friend of mine who was a part of the task force, older guy. He's white, and we talked afterwards. He's been at this work for a while now. He's like, I just never considered some of these things. And, he's like, I'm so glad that we had that training, because I just wouldn't have known as long as I've been doing this work. And that just goes back to the conversation of making sure people are actually at the table who are impacted by these issues, right? Because this stuff is so obvious to people who are experiencing it every day, but so many people who hunker down and do the work don't always get to understand that perspective.
Excellent point. It's an eye-opening experience when you realize that, and it shouldn't come as a surprise, but it does to most people, that we're all leading different types of lives, different types of experiences, and the lessons we learn from that it's very important. We got to bring that to the table, and certainly working on climate policy issues, that's front and center. We got to figure it out.
Well, we got to be deliberate about it. If we want to solve the problem, like there's the potential to do even further harm if we don't make the proper considerations, right? We could be further putting communities on the back burner and have them in an even worse situation than they were before.
Very, very true. And with the climate crisis, frankly, I've been doing this for almost 35 years now. There are so many people who don't understand personally how they're going to get affected. They're not feeling it right now, and as you point out, most people are getting it. But most of our population lives along the coast in the United States, and a lot of those beaches and those beach communities are going to be inundated with sea level rise and what have you. It's a tragedy, and it's happening before us. We have the ability to do something about it. You're absolutely right. Educating people, training them as to what these issues are about, hopefully opens up their eyes and makes them more amenable to getting to that right solution and not doing it wrong.
Yeah, we got to hope. We got to work. We got to hope and work.
We definitely, have to work. And I don't know if you've got any tips for the rest of us on how to do that, but we're all listening, because we got to keep that conversation going.
Yeah, no, I mean, my tips are just the same. I mean, we can't leave communities behind, right? We got to look at where the harm has been done, and we just have to always consider previously and currently marginalized communities, like in all the work we do and all the decisions that we make. And it has to be about equity, right? Like we can't let our work further exacerbate inequality, whether it's income inequality or whether it's environmental inequality.
I was about to
You are having a time.
Oh, I am serious. I will be, growing up in the upper Midwest, I sweat when it gets up over 32. So,
Yeah, yeah.
well, let's try number 5 here. Ginger goat, the original goat. I'm not so sure how many goats have followed this one, but ginger goat is actually 55,000 on the Scoville rating, and oh, lovely. It has the Carolina Reaper pepper in it, which
All
I
right.
love. Is very spicy.
Oh, this one is thick.
It almost looks like Thanksgiving gravy.
Yeah. Oh boy. And intentionally or unintentionally, I have drenched this one. So ready for a party.
Well, I'm drenching the bite I'm taking, but not the whole thing. That's almost sweet initially.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, this one will fool you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's another sneaky one coming in there.
That's a very sneaky one. I think I'm going for a little bit of milk.
All right, now we're even. That's not a contest we need to have. I was going to go through the Colbert questionnaire. I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but let me ask you, it's a lightning round. What's the best sandwich?
The best sandwich. Oh man. I have really been enjoying fried chicken sandwiches lately. And it's Popeye is just like sort of ingrained that into me. It's like all I think about now. And it's not even the Popeye sandwiches that I eat all the time. A lot of times I do it myself.
All right, what's the scariest animal?
Oh, it would probably be some sort of insect for me. Like I think about if a scorpion just walked in here, right? I would have to move.
What's your favorite NFL team?
Oh, come on now. That's softball. There's no team but the Packers.
It was a softball question. It was intended to be.
Yeah.
Here at the Reserve, we're very proud of making sure that we've eliminated bias in all of our operations, and we have a diversity committee to make sure that happens. Uh, one of the last bastions just fell. A lifelong, long-suffering Vikings fan is now interviewing a cheesehead. So life moves on.
Here we are.
Well, I know you're pressed for time. Number 6 is High Desert Tikk-Hot Masala, and that's 72,000 on the Scoville scale.
All right. Make it happen. I think a clove came out.
Yeah, that one. This one looks like it could light you up.
Yep. It has a scent. Definitely has a kick.
Yeah, I'm finding these all sneaky though. They have a sweetness at sort of on the front of the mouth, and then it kicks into the back. And this one's definitely spicy.
It is. This one is. Yep. Oh yeah, that was hot. That'll put a sweat on your brow.
That one is quite spicy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I didn't take it as seriously as I should have.
And getting spicier.
Mm-hmm.
Well, quick question before we go on to the next one. What's your favorite meal?
My favorite meal. Ooh. I oh, I like Italian food. I really like Italian food. It's so comforting. Some chicken parmesan, something simple. I don't even need that much.
Cool. Good choice.
What about you?
I was going to say the next one. I love Vietnamese food.
Okay.
Good chicken-based dish. Chicken basil hot pot or something like that. It's very spicy, but very tasty. Number 7 is hotter than L. Love Burns, 101,000 Scoville rating. We're now in hot territory. This one has a red 7 pot primo pepper mash, a Reaper pepper mash, a Trinidad scorpion pepper mash, and a variety of other things. And boy, just opening that up is insane. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm definitely starting to sweat here. It'll be dripping off in a moment.
Oh yeah, I'm getting up there. Mm-hmm.
I just noticed the last ingredient. If it wasn't spicy enough, they added ghost chili powder. Whoa!
And it's a good. All right, we are having a time now.
Oh yes, we are.
Whew.
I want to get your personal take on it. What's your opinion on the progress of climate talks, both at any level, whether it's in Wisconsin or federally or internationally?
I'll say, whew.
Yes.
Yep. So, I mean, this is nonpartisan, but when you look at primary elections for president or any office for that matter, people aren't taken seriously if they don't have a plan to address climate change. You have to talk about climate change in certain political circles, and people were able to get away with it for a while. You can't now. You should be able to, but it is certainly a part of the mainstream conversation. I see a lot of objective reporting that just puts the facts out there. The statistics. It's hottest year on record, hottest year on record, hottest year on record. Time after time, and people are still for whatever reason hesitant to say climate change is doing this, but at the same time, the facts are being presented, and people are able to draw their own conclusions. So I think the conversation is going in the right direction, and we still got a long way to go. Whew.
It's unfair to ask you to think about a cogent response when your mouth is on fire, but we'll do the best we can.
The temperature is rising.
Yes.
On my plate.
I've been warned about this next one as maybe being the hottest of the group. It's called the bomb. It's got a 135,600 rating on the Scoville scale, and it just says red hot chili peppers, and I don't think it's the band.
It's not the band. Stadium Archeum. It's a great album, by the way.
I am beginning to think we have a lifetime supply of hot sauce, though.
Yep. All right. Cheers.
Wait for it. Oh, these are sneaky.
Yep, no there. Oh boy, very sneaky.
I was about to say that it's not that spicy, and then it hit.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Yep. I am struggling to zoom my camera out. Oh.
I'm just going to let my sweat run away from me here. I know you meet with a lot of farmers across the state of Wisconsin. What are the top climate challenges that farmers feel that they're facing, and what role can agricultural carbon markets perhaps play in a solution for that?
Farmers are dealing with droughts, or on the other hand, they're dealing with flooding. Oh, it's never ending historic drought. Whew. So a whole lot going on. Crops are being delayed. There's a lot of uncertainty. Animals are having trouble with the food because of the temperatures and the weather conditions, and then invasive species as a result as well. But carbon markets, especially here, can help already struggling family farmers who are dealing with climate change, dealing with milk prices, dealing with unfair trade practices. Maybe a path forward in addressing climate change is through carbon markets, wind farms, solar farms, help go a long way. Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm going to tee up number 9 here. It's here at the Reserve, we recently adopted a soil enrichment protocol, and it's, as you point, farmers are not making much money, and being able to basically give them another income stream for sustainable practices, we believe is a potential game changer for the environment and for the American farmer. This one is called Scorpion Disco.
I said I was afraid of scorpions.
Yeah, 649,000 Scoville units. This is twice what a habanero would be.
Yep. You don't have to tell me about the next one. We're just gonna eat it. Don't even worry about it.
All right.
Just expect it to us. Mm.
Whoa.
Oh boy. Oh man.
Oh, no kidding. Well, that has Trinidad Scorpion, Ghost, Chocolate Habanero, and 7-pot Primo peppers in it. But I think I just ate all 4 of them.
Yep. Oh man.
Well, this is a great time to ask you, what's your favorite ice cold beverage?
We're talking about beers. Honestly, I'm good with a Miller High Life. I buy the craft beers. I buy the craft beers. I enjoy them a lot. I love a good amber, but there's a High Life in front of me. I'm taking that every time.
Champagne and bottled beers.
This is true.
Well, that's great. Well, we probably should tackle the last one, which is appropriately called the Last Dab Apollo. It's got the Apollo pepper in it, and we don't need to know what it's.
Nope. My sinuses are so clear right now.
Yep. I think we've just solved the pandemic. We know how to cure anything now. Better than hydrochloroquine.
Woo. All right. Oh man.
It started out hot,
Mm-hmm.
hot, and it's finishing hotter.
That doesn't even taste legal.
Yeah, I think you have to be over 21 to buy that.
Yeah.
Ah,
That one will raise the mercury.
well, the next time there's a blizzard in Wisconsin, you got to serve some of these hot sauces. The guests might appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Well,
Hard to say this was fun, but I had a great time.
I enjoyed it, Lieutenant Governor. I appreciate it. I know you're very busy. I appreciate you taking out some time, and thank you for being a good sport about the hot wings test and sharing with us with some of your thoughts. So you have a fabulous rest of the day. Good luck.
This is great. Thank you.
Take
Thank
care.
you. You take care too. Really good to hang out with you.